Okay, so gotta go over Druid again because the sound was all screwed up first time I went through it for some reason. So maybe make this a little quicker this time. So Fury of the Storm reduces the mana cost of Wrath by 100%, and each time you deal damage with Wrath, you have a 12% chance for your next cast of Healing Touch within 15 seconds to be instant. So you won't have Moon Conform at level 25, so you won't have to shapeshift out to cast these heals, and it's probably pretty good in PvP, just for extra instant heals here and there. Living Seed, when you critically heal your target with any healing spell, you plant a living seed on the target for 30% of the amount healed. The seed will bloom when the target is next attacked. Last 15 seconds. So this is alright. I don't know how much crit you're actually going to have as a Resto Druid, but maybe it'll be more than a typical classic Druid would have. Survival of the Fittest reduces the chance you'll be critically hit by melee attacks by 6%, reduces all damage taken by 10%. Damage taken reduced by an additional 10% while in Bear or Dire Bear form, so 20% reduced damage taken in those forms. This might just have to be your PvP rune though. You're gonna have a lot more burst damage in the meta, whereas like casting free wraths probably isn't going to matter that much. You probably just want these this reduced damage taken. And then Wild Strikes. While you're in cat form, bear form, or dire bear form, party members within chart 20 yards gain increased combat ferocity. Each melee hit has a 20% chance of granting the attacker an extra attack with 20% additional attack power. No effect if the party member is already benefiting from Wind Fury Totem. So yes, Alliance can have Wind Fury, which on the Alliance side of things, you're so being in the PvE meta of just take as many warriors as possible. Now that you probably want a druid in each of those parties. Like, it's better to have 4 warriors and 1 druid than just 5 warriors. So this could be like huge just for Alliance druids now having raid slots. Whereas, Horde can just use a druid or a shaman, and they might elect for shamans. So we'll see how the meta turns out there. Now, Lacerate. Going to the hand runes here. Lacerate. Lacerate enemy target, making them bleed for some damage over 15 seconds, plus 20% weapon damage per existing application of Lacerate on the target. Causes a high amount of threat. This effect stacks up to 5 times on the same target. So the weapon damage, if this is actually using your equipped weapon and not just your default like bear cat form static damage, then you this could actually end the crowd pummeler meta, right? You won't have to just farm MCPs all day, which would be kind of cool. Mangle, gain the Mangle Bear ability and replace your Claw ability with Mangle Cat. This ability benefits from and triggers all effects associated with Claw and Maul. Maul the target for 160% normal damage and cause the target to take 30% additional damage from bleed effects and shred for 1 minute. This ability benefits from and triggers all effects associated with Claw and Maul. And then Mangle the target for 300% normal damage and cause the target to take 30% additional damage from bleed effects and shred for 1 minute. Awards 1 combo point. This ability benefits from and triggers all effects associated with Claw and Maul. So you got your bear form and your cat form here. This is pretty good. But lacerate just might have to be the go-to if for this weapon thing and stuff. Like this might just end up being better to have an additional ability than to change an existing ability. So I'm not real sure. Don't really play Druid much myself. So Sunfire. Gain the Sunfire ability while in bear form, cat form, or dire bear form. And your Moonfire is replaced with Sunfire Bear or Sunfire Cat. This spell benefits from and triggers all effects associated with Moonfire. Burns the enemy for some amount of nature damage and an additional amount of nature damage over 12 seconds. And it is the same ratios and everything in all forms, except in cat form it actually gives you a combo point. The interesting thing to me here is that it changes the damage type to nature. So you're doing nature damage instead of arcane damage. So you might be able to stack nature damage gear, not have to just be spell damage or arcane damage. Wild Growth heals all of the target player's party members within 15 yards of the target player for some amount over 7 seconds. The amount healed is applied quickly at first and slows down as Wild Growth reaches its full duration. That's pretty good. Though, like in PvE, like raid settings, hots are actually kind of bad. But they might be doing something about that. Now, like, this is kind of going back to the Sunfire thing. I guess my thoughts are just jumping around here. But typically speaking, your Moonkin Druids just spammed Arcane. What's it called? Starfire. So they were Arcane damage type. So changing this to nature and then making your Wraths cost no mana, they might just be kind of forcing you down the nature road. And we'll go over here to legs. Life Bloom. It reduces the global cooldown on your rejuvenation and Life Bloom abilities by 0.5 seconds, and you gain the Life Bloom ability. Heals the target for some amount over 7 seconds. When Life Bloom completes its duration or is dispelled, the target instantly heals for a higher amount, and the Druid regains half the cost of the spell. This effect can stack up to 3 times on the same target, really forcing them into these hots. Savage War, finishing move that increases physical damage done by 30% while in cat form, lasts longer per combo point, so this is just something you're going to keep up for additional damage, which is cool. Skull Bash, charge the target within 13 yards and bash the target's skull, interrupting spell cast and preventing any spell in that skull from being cast for 2 seconds. Not a crazy long lockout, but it's good. Doesn't say cat or bear, but we'll assume that's what it's going to be. Like, you're not going to be just charging people in human form and telling them to shut the hell up, though that would be hilarious if that happened to be the case. And then you gain the Star Surge ability. Launch surging stellar energies that cause a good amount of arcane damage. Star Surge benefits from and triggers most talents and effects that trigger or benefit from Wrath or Starfire. Now, this says most talents and effects. It affects. So maybe Fury of the Storm won't affect your Star Surge. It won't just be free. But kind of interesting that I'm already told that I'm wrong about the idea of them just making you a nature damage dealer and then they give you this really cool arcane spell. Because you get reduced cast time for Wrath, reduced cast time plus the chance to stun. It might double dip with Moon Fury to give you 20% damage. Though that's probably not likely. It's probably just 10% just using one of those. So let's see. Though you get the reduced mana cost here. But we'll have to see what doesn't apply to it. Like, this could just be the most broken thing that they're adding to the game. It's just like everything applies to it at full value, right? So, but that's all the runes here for Druid. Hopefully the sound will turn out alright on this, and we'll continue our coverage here.